Hey there, beautiful souls. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how many messages I've been getting lately from people saying, I feel too old, I've missed my chance, or everyone's ahead of me. And honestly, I used to feel exactly the same way. But then I discovered something that completely transformed my mindset. Stoic philosophy. Listen, I'm not some philosophy professor with a tweed jacket. I'm just someone who hit rock bottom at 35, thinking my life was basically over while watching 22-year-olds crushing it online. But these ancient wisdom bombs I'm about to drop on you, they literally saved me from a spiral of comparison and regret. In today's video, I'm going to share the 5 most powerful Stoic truths that completely transformed how I view aging, success, and my place in this crazy world. These aren't just fluffy motivational quotes. These are practical mindset shifts that have stood the test of time for over 2,000 years. First, we'll explore why age is literally just a number that means nothing about your potential. Then, I'll show you how to stop the comparison trap that's stealing your joy. And finally, I'll reveal the one Stoic practice that will give you unstoppable confidence to pursue what matters to you, regardless of your age. So grab your coffee, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and get ready to completely revolutionize how you think about age and achievement. Because trust me, once you understand these Stoic principles, you'll never again let a number define what's possible for your life. Let's dive in. Truth number 1. Age is a preferred indifferent. Let's start with a mind-blowing Stoic concept that changed everything for me. Preferred indifference. The ancient Stoics believed most things in life, wealth, reputation, even health, were indifferent to your true happiness. They're nice to have, but they don't determine your worth or ability to live virtuously. And guess what? Age is the ultimate preferred indifferent. Marcus Aurelius, who became Roman emperor at 40 and wrote his famous meditations in his 50s, said something that hit me like a truck. Many grains of incense fall on the same altar. One falls sooner, another later, but it makes no difference. Let that sink in. Your timeline is your timeline. Arriving later makes absolutely no difference to your value or potential impact. When I first read this, I was literally hiding my age online. Can you believe that? I thought being in my 30s made me irrelevant in my industry. But the Stoics taught me that fixating on age is actually irrational. Epictetus, who was literally born a slave and didn't gain freedom until his 30s, completely transformed philosophy despite his late start. Here's what changed for me. I stopped seeing my age as this immovable barrier and started seeing it as simply a neutral characteristic, like having brown hair or being a certain height. It doesn't inherently limit me unless I decide it does. The moment I embraced this, I stopped hiding and started creating authentically. Think about it. We're constantly fed this toxic timeline of when we should achieve certain milestones. College by 22, career by 25, married by 30, executive by 40. But whose rulebook is that? When I researched famous late bloomers, I found Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until 40, Ray Kroc didn't start McDonald's until 52, Julia Child published her first cookbook at 49. The Stoics would look at our modern obsession with youth and achievement timelines and honestly laugh. They'd see it as completely missing the point of a well-lived life. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The question isn't how old you are, it's what you're doing with the time you have now. I remember having a complete breakdown before my 35th birthday, thinking, it's too late to pivot my career. But when I embraced this Stoic truth, I realized I could be 35 and starting something new, or 35 and still miserable in a career I hated. Either way, time passes. The age wasn't the problem. My judgment about the age was, what's truly liberating about this Stoic perspective is realizing that while we can't control our age, we have complete control over our choices, actions, and character, which are the only things that truly matter. Everything else is external, including the number of years you've been alive. Once I stopped giving age this massive power over my self-worth, I felt this incredible freedom to pursue what actually excited me. I stopped asking, "Am I too old?" and started asking, "Is this aligned with my values?" That's the question that actually matters. So I want you to try something right now. Take whatever age-related thought is limiting you and consciously reclassify it as indifferent to your worth and potential. Your age is just a neutral fact. All the meaning attached to it is completely optional. And I promise you, the moment you truly accept this, everything changes. Truth number 2, the dichotomy of control. Okay, this next Stoic truth completely revolutionized how I think about life's timeline. It's called the dichotomy of control, and it comes from Epictetus, who taught that some things are within our control, and others aren't. And guess what's not in our control? Other people's timelines, societal expectations, and those ridiculous 30 under 30 lists that used to make me want to throw my phone across the room. When I was spiraling in comparison, constantly thinking I should be where they are by now, I wasn't just making myself miserable. I was focusing all my energy on things completely outside my control. I couldn't control when I discovered my passion, what opportunities came my way, or the circumstances I was born into. But what I could control was my effort, my learning, my perseverance, and my attitude right now. Let me tell you a personal story. 2 years ago, I was obsessing over a competitor who started in my industry 5 years after me, but had triple my following. I was consumed with bitterness, thinking it's not fair. Then I read Epictetus saying, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." It was like being doused with cold water. I realized I was wasting precious energy on something I couldn't change. Here's where it gets powerful. Once I redirected that energy toward what I could control, improving my craft, connecting authentically, creating consistently, everything shifted. Not overnight, but gradually and meaningfully. The Stoics would say this is exactly how it should work. Focus relentlessly on your own actions, and let go of attachment to outcomes you can't dictate. Think about what you're doing when you obsess over being behind. You're essentially arguing with reality. You're saying, "I reject the actual circumstances of my life and demand a different timeline." The Stoics would call this the height of irrationality. Instead, they'd advise starting with a complete acceptance of where you are right now, without judgment. This doesn't mean giving up on ambitious goals. Quite the opposite. It means channeling all that comparison energy into concrete actions that move you forward. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." Similarly, stop arguing about where you should be in life. Just take the next right step from where you are. When I embraced this principle, I created a simple practice that changed everything. Before bed each night, I'd write down 3 things I actually controlled that day, and 3 things I tried to control but couldn't. This simple awareness exercise broke my habit of emotional exhaustion from trying to control the uncontrollable, including other people's progress. The most liberating part of this Stoic truth, recognizing that everyone's journey has different timing for reasons we can never fully understand. What looks like falling behind might actually be the perfect preparation for your unique contribution. As Seneca said, Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Focus on the preparation, what you control, and stay ready for the opportunity, what you don't. I want you to try something right now. Think about what's triggering your "I'm behind" feelings. Now mentally sort those triggers into two categories: what you can control and what you can't. Then make a commitment to focus exclusively on the controllable category for the next week. Notice how this shifts your energy from frustration to empowerment. Remember, the Stoics didn't measure success by timelines or external achievements. They measured it by how well you responded to your specific circumstances. By that measure, it's never too late to be successful, because your response is always within your control, regardless of your age or situation. Truth number 3. Memento mori. Remember death. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Wow, we went from age anxiety to death? Real uplifting, thanks. But stay with me, because this third Stoic truth is actually the most powerful motivator I've ever encountered. The Stoics practiced something called memento mori. Remember you must die, not to be morbid, but to create incredible urgency and clarity about what truly matters. When I first encountered this concept, I was completely resistant. Who wants to think about their mortality? But then I read Marcus Aurelius writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." And it hit me like lightning. Worrying about being too old at 35 was absurd, when I could have 50 more years, or just 5. Either way, was I using my precious time on things that actually mattered? The most profound shift happened when I started a simple memento mori meditation. For just 2 minutes each morning, I'd reflect on the finite nature of my life, not in a depressing way, but as a clarifying force. Suddenly, questions like, "Am I too old to start?" transformed into, "Is this worth spending my limited time on?" The perspective shift was immediate and powerful. Here's what's so liberating. When you truly internalize that time is limited for everyone, regardless of age, the question changes entirely. It's no longer about, "Am I behind?" but rather, "Is this the best use of my remaining time?" And that question cuts through so much noise and social conditioning about timelines and milestones. Think about how many people reach conventional success only to realize they've been climbing the wrong ladder entirely. The Stoics would view this as the ultimate tragedy, achieving external markers while missing the purpose of your unique existence. Memento mori prevents this by keeping you focused on what genuinely matters to you. I remember the exact moment this principle transformed my relationship with age. I was hesitating about going back to school, thinking, "I'll be 40 when I graduate." Then it hit me. I'll be 40 either way. The only question is whether I'll be 40 with the education I desire, or 40 still wishing I'd started. The awareness of mortality made the choice crystal clear. The beauty of this Stoic practice is that it creates tremendous urgency without anxiety. There's something incredibly motivating about recognizing that time is passing regardless of what you do with it. As Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Memento mori ensures you waste far less of this precious resource. When I fully embraced this principle, I developed what I call my deathbed filter. Before committing to projects or goals, I ask myself, will I regret not doing this when I'm looking back on my life? This single question has guided me toward more meaningful pursuits and away from choices based on external validation or arbitrary timelines. What's fascinating is how this Stoic practice actually reduces fear around aging. When you're regularly contemplating the finite nature of existence, getting a year older becomes less threatening and more precious. Each birthday becomes less about "I'm getting old" and more about I have another year to create meaning. So I challenge you to try this. For the next week, spend just 2 minutes each morning contemplating the limited nature of your time. Then, make one decision that day from this perspective. Watch how quickly your concerns about being too old or behind dissolve when measured against the ultimate reality of mortality. This isn't dark, it's incredibly clarifying and empowering. Truth number 4, amor fati, love your fate. This fourth Stoic truth completely revolutionized how I view my life's timeline. Amor fati, love of fate, is the idea that we should not merely accept what happens to us, but actively embrace and love it, including all our struggles, setbacks, and yes, our age and life stage. This isn't passive resignation, it's radical appreciation for your exact path because it made you who you are. When I first encountered this concept in the writings of Epictetus, who said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to, rather wish that what happens happen the way it happens, then you will be happy," I honestly thought it was impossible. Love the fact that I started my business late, love that I wasted years in the wrong career, but then something profound shifted when I truly tried this perspective. I realized every delay in my journey gave me experiences and insights that became my unique advantage. That corporate job I thought was a detour. It taught me systems thinking that none of my ahead competitors understand. Those years feeling lost, they gave me empathy that connects deeply with my audience. When I started practicing amor fati, I stopped seeing my path as behind and started seeing it as perfectly timed for what I uniquely offer. The transformative power of this principle is that it completely eliminates regret and what-ifs that drain your energy. Instead of thinking, "If only I had started sooner," amor fati prompts you to ask, "How is my exact journey, including its timing, perfectly suited for my contribution?" This shift doesn't just feel better, it actually reveals strategic advantages you might have missed. I created a practice I call reverse engineering fate that changed everything. For each delay or setback in my timeline, I identified at least 3 ways it ultimately benefited me or prepared me for something important. For example, not becoming successful in my 20s saved me from developing an ego that would have limited my growth. Starting my business after having children gave me perspective on what truly matters. What's most powerful about amor fati is that it's available to you instantly, regardless of your circumstances. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." The same applies to your age and life stage. Accept and love them with all your heart, and watch how this transforms your experience. This doesn't mean becoming complacent. The Stoics were incredibly ambitious and action-oriented, but they operated from a foundation of complete acceptance of the present moment as the only possible starting point. This paradoxically creates more effective action because you're not wasting energy fighting against reality or dwelling on paths not taken. I remember applying this principle during a particularly difficult period when a 24-year-old in my industry received an opportunity I'd been working toward for years. Initially, I was consumed with bitterness, but when I practiced amor fati, I asked myself, how might this exact situation be perfect for my development? This led me to create a completely different approach that eventually became my signature method, one I never would have discovered if I'd gotten that original opportunity. The freedom this Stoic truth offers is extraordinary. When you love your fate, including your age and life stage, you stop seeking external validation for your timeline. The question changes from, "Am I where I should be?" to "How is where?" I am right now the perfect place for me to create value. This shifts you from victim to creator in an instant. So here's my challenge. Take the aspect of your age or timeline that bothers you most, the thing that makes you feel most behind, and consciously practice loving it for 1 week. Find reasons why it might be perfect. Watch how this transforms. Not just how you feel, but the opportunities you suddenly notice that were invisible when you were focused on being behind. Truth number 5. Practice rather than preach. This final Stoic truth might be the most powerful of all because it's about action. The Stoics were adamant that philosophy wasn't about intellectual debates or clever quotes. It was about how you live. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This principle transformed how I approach age-related anxieties by focusing on demonstration rather than declaration. When I discovered this truth, I was spending hours in online forums debating ageism and complaining about society's youth obsession. But was I actually doing anything to challenge these perceptions? The Stoics would have called me out immediately. Seneca wrote, "Philosophers prove their words by their deeds." I realized I needed to stop talking about age being just a number and start living as if that were true. This shifted everything. Instead of seeking validation for my age-related anxieties, I redirected that energy into visible action. I started learning new skills publicly, launched projects without hiding my age, and openly shared my journey. The response was incredible. People weren't focusing on how old I was. They were inspired by what I was doing regardless of my age. The Stoics understood something profound. Your actions speak infinitely louder than your words. If you truly want to overcome age-related limitations, demonstrate through your behavior that they don't limit you. When I embraced this, I stopped needing to convince others or myself that age didn't matter. I simply showed it through consistent action. There's something incredibly powerful about this approach. When you shift from intellectualizing to embodying, you actually transform from within. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Similarly, waste no time arguing about whether age should limit you. Just live as if it doesn't, and watch how reality conforms to your example. I developed what I call visible practice, deliberately learning and trying new things in public view, regardless of my skill level. This practice directly confronts the fear of looking foolish as an older beginner. Each time I posted a clumsy attempt at a new skill, I was embodying the Stoic truth that growth has no age limit. And amazingly, this inspired others far more than any motivational post about age being just a number ever could. The liberation in this approach is that it shifts you from passive consumer of cultural messages about age to active creator of a new narrative. The Stoics would approve. They believed in shaping your own reality through virtuous action rather than being at the mercy of popular opinion. Every time you take action that defies age expectations, you're not just changing your life, you're contributing to changing the culture. What's most profound about this Stoic principle is that it creates a positive feedback loop. The more you embody age-irrelevant action, the more evidence you accumulate that age truly doesn't determine your capabilities. Each step builds momentum for the next. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. I remember the exact moment this principle changed everything. I had been hesitating to share a video because I thought I looked too old compared to others in my space. Then I asked myself, what would someone who truly believed age was irrelevant do right now? The answer was clear. They'd share the value without concern for such superficial matters. I posted it, and that video became one of my most impactful pieces of content, precisely because the wisdom came from experience. So here's my challenge to you. Identify one action you've been avoiding because of age-related fears. Then commit to doing it within the next 24 hours, not to prove anything to anyone else, but as a practice of embodying the truth that age is irrelevant to your capacity for contribution and growth. This single step, repeated consistently, will transform your relationship with age far more powerfully than any philosophical understanding alone. Wow, we've covered some seriously life-changing wisdom together. These 5 Stoic truths completely transformed how I view aging, and I hope they're already shifting something deep within you too. Just to recap, age is a preferred indifferent. That has no bearing on your value. Focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. Remember your mortality to clarify what truly matters. Love your unique timeline with all its delays and detours. And most importantly, embody these truths through decisive action. Here's what I want you to know, straight from my heart. The world needs what only you can offer, and it needs it exactly when you're ready to give it, not according to some arbitrary timeline. Your unique combination of experiences, wisdom, and perspective is valuable because of your journey, not despite it. Before I go, I want to invite you to take one immediate action from today's video. In the comments below, share which of these Stoic truths resonated most strongly with you and one specific way you'll apply it this week. Reading each other's commitments creates incredible accountability and inspiration for this community. If this video helped you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs this message. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that blends ancient wisdom with modern challenges. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your age is not your obstacle, it's your advantage. Now go out there and live that truth. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Until next time, remember, it's never too late to become what you might have been. Bye for now, beautiful souls.